Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I've got another review. Today we're going to be reviewing this 2015 Mini Cooper. So this 2015 Mini Cooper is not the S, and it's not even the four-door hatchback. It's basically just the base trim. So again, Minis do have a cult following all over the world. They are really awesome cars that definitely don't get enough recognition here in the States. Now, actually, I have driven this specific Mini multiple times before, and again, I do really enjoy it. So this isn't, my, initial reaction to this car, but again, I do enjoy this car. It should be a fun review today. So now I'm just going to be talking about the body of this Mini for a little bit. Now, right off the bat, it's just the regular two-door base model, like I said, so it easily fits right in the, compact category. Now, compact cars, they're great for handling, great for even tracking, and, obviously, city parking, which is something that people don't typically think about. But again, you can get at practically anywhere with this thing. Now, one thing that oftentimes compact cars tend to lack is safety, because, again, they might not be as safe as some larger SUVs or even crossovers. But that being said, even this 2015 Mini Cooper, being a very small car, actually received 4 stars out of 5 for its overall NHTSA safety rating. So this 2015 Mini Cooper came from factory with a length of 151.1 inches, which is actually not as short as I thought it would be. A width of 68 inches, a height of 55.7 inches, a wheelbase of 98.2 inches, and a curb weight just over 2,600 pounds at 2,605 pounds. So another thing about this specific Mini's body, now this paint color is actually it's the factory Midnight Black Metallic color. Now this specific year and this specific trim Mini was actually offered in 11 different exterior colors. My favorite being the British Racing Green Metallic. I really like the look of a hardtop Mini that has that British Racing Green Metallic paint with like white stripes over it. Now again, as you guys can probably tell, this is the soft top. So I am probably gonna, when I do my drive, I'm probably going to put the top down, which is a really cool thing about this car. But again, my personal favorite from this specific body style would definitely be that, the British Racing Green Metallic. Now again, this car isn't in perfect condition. You can see just, right around the body, you can see some minor scratches, minor dings and dents, because it is the owner's daily driver. So it's not like completely pristine. I also really like the design of kind of these, I don't want to call them really fender flares, but I do just kind of like that design because it does, again, it sticks to its heritage. It does kind of look like racing fender flares. But again, if you kind of come up on them, you can tell that they don't really poke out at all, but it does tuck the kind of wheel in nice. So now, speaking about the wheels, I did just kind of want to briefly mention the 16-inch alloy 6 double spoke kind of design wheels that are on this specific Mini. Now, one thing that I did find interesting while researching this, these 16-inch rims actually came on the Mini Cooper S's, and this base model was supposed to actually have the 15-inch wheels, which again, I do find, a little bit unique about this specific Mini. Now, looking onto the tires, the wheels and the tires are exactly the same, all around the car, but basically the tire size is 195 by 55 by 16s, and you have dual piston brake calipers in the front with single piston brake calipers in the back with just pretty tiny 11-inch brake rotors. All right, so now we actually have the hood open on this Mini, and one thing that I did want to mention before getting into the engine and the drivetrain is when you actually have the hood up, or the bonnet, whatever you want to call it, it's actually pretty cool because the headlights, again, these are the holes for the headlights that you see right there. So the kind of top part of the grille comes up, as well as kind of like the outer trim underneath and around the headlights, which is, again, kind of pretty unique. It's pretty cool to say. So now moving on to the actual engine, this actually took me by surprise when researching this car. Originally, I thought it had a turbo 4-cylinder engine in it, but this base trim actually has a 1.5 liter inline 3-cylinder engine with 4 valves per cylinder. It's double overhead cam, and it's a turbocharged engine. So again, initially I thought it was actually an inline 4, The only real other inline 3 cars that I specifically know of are, again, these minis, as well as like key cars in like Japan and Korea and some of like those Asian countries. So I guess it's something that's pretty unique about this car. Now, yes, since it's not an inline 4, it's just an inline 3. It's not the 2-liter inline 4-cylinder out of the Mini Cooper S. That's actually, I'm pretty sure it puts out right around 200 horsepower and 200 foot-pounds of torque. I could be wrong. But this specific engine, this 1.5-liter 3-cylinder, actually only puts out 162 foot-pounds of torque at 1,250 RPMs and 134 brake horsepower at 4,500 RPMs. This car is front-wheel drive, so it does handle very well, and it's not a lot of power to the point where you're going to get torque steer or anything like that. But yeah, this engine does deliver its power through a 6-speed manual transmission, which is actually the same trans that you can find in the Mini Cooper S. So that is one thing that definitely does make this car a lot more fun. It is a manual, so it's kind of more, I guess, a driver's car. Now, one thing that is really, really great about this car, I mean, the fuel economy. The fuel economy is phenomenal. It actually, this specific 2015 Mini Cooper with the 1.5-liter 3-cylinder turbocharged engine actually makes 29 miles per gallon during city driving and 40 miles per gallon during highway driving, for basically like a combined average of 33 miles per gallon. So you pair that along with its 11.6 gallon fuel tank, and the range for this car is approximately 336.4 city miles or 464 highway miles. So yeah, now before I go into the interior, I did just kind of want to show you guys around the actual engine bay without really talking about any specs or anything like that. So yeah, underneath the hood you can just see the very tiny engine, the air box, and the exhaust covered by a complete heat shield, nothing too crazy. And right here, I believe that does look like the blow-off valve, that little black part down there, but you can't really see the turbo from here, so I'm assuming that the turbo is actually underneath the engine, kind of like the Ford Focus ST that I did review previously. And just like the Ford Focus ST3 that I did review, I'm sure they actually have the design of the turbo to sit underneath the engine for international, regulations, because again, this Mini Cooper does sell pretty much everywhere in the world. So yeah, now I'm gonna just take a quick walk over to the interior, hop in the driver's seat, put the top down, and then take this thing for a drive. So now I'm actually sitting in the driver's seat of this Mini Cooper, and again, the interior of this thing isn't really as cramped as some people might think it would be. But again, this is the kind of base model, but even it just being the base model, I really enjoy like the overall designs of all the different gauges in the dash. It really pays tribute to Mini's pretty rich racing heritage with the overall like just the circles in the design. Now again, I'm not too into Minis, but I do know that they have a cult following around the world. A lot of people love these cars, and one thing that I did really like about the interior specifically is this Mini Sports leather steering wheel that comes with it. I believe this is actually the same steering wheel that does come in the Mini Cooper S. I could be wrong. But yeah, overall I do like the design and feel of this steering wheel, as well as these front like leather Mini Sports seats. Now they do kind of have to like support, they do support you, but they also maintain comfort. They're not full-on racing seats, so they don't really hold you in, but again, they do feel more sporty than just a regular like kind of flat seat. Now one thing that I really don't like about this car, this is probably like my biggest negative of this car, is this gearbox. Now this isn't really an interior feature, this is more of a mechanical feature, but as you can tell, all right, I'm gonna put my foot on the clutch. That is reverse. Now to get into first, that's first, which again, some people they're used to it, they don't really care that much, but I honestly oftentimes, because my car is kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and then reverse, there's not a 6th gear in my car, so I often kind of find myself like going all the way over, and there is a lock on it, and I know it's kind of, there we go, it seems to be hard to get into reverse now, but like honestly, in my own opinion, when you're actually driving it, it is pretty easy to get into reverse. So that's definitely one thing that I would look out for in this car. But yeah, now I'm going to basically just take this thing for a quick drive, put the top down, and give you guys my initial reactions and feelings about this car. All right, guys, so now I'm actually in this Mini Cooper, and I did just want to show you guys. So basically, to put the top down in this thing, you do that, and it goes kind of into like this sunroof setting or whatever, and then you hit it again, and it goes all the way down. Now there are some like plastic pieces that are not, that kind of came off of this car, but I mean, yeah, that being said, it's still in great shape. It's really cool to kind of drive around with the top down, especially here in Southern California, where it's practically always sunny. But yeah, now right next to the gearbox, there is a sport mode button. I don't know if that actually affects the boost of the turbo at all, or the actual power that comes out of this car. Yeah, so one thing that I definitely did notice about this car when it is in sport mode is that the exhaust, either it has baffles in like the exhaust, like the mufflers, or there's a turbo muffler actually on this car that it opens the car up in sport mode, so it definitely becomes a lot louder. Now I don't know if it does anything really with the power, because I do know that this car does redline in both, I guess, regular mode and sport mode at right around like 6,500 RPMs. But yeah, so this specific Mini has just under 36,000 miles on it, at 35,928 miles to be exact, and it feels pretty new. Now I know the owner of this car does daily it, and I'm pretty sure they do beat the crap out of it. So the engine does seem a little bit like, it seems like it's got a little bit more than 30,000 miles, if that makes sense. I'm just getting some noises that I don't think I should be, but still, I mean, it drives fine. As far as like the handling and the braking are concerned, like, it's perfect, but I am hearing a little bit of noise from the front of the car, from the engine. There's nothing really bad with the transmission. The clutch on this car is like butter. It's super, super light, which makes the drivability phenomenal. And again, with the light clutch, the super short wheelbase, the overall compact size, it is a very, driver friendly car. But again, with the manual transmission, it's also like a driver's car. So you kind of get the best of both worlds in this thing. Now I am at a stoplight right now. Let's make sure this is in sport, because once this turns green, I am going to gun it, and that is one thing that this car does lack, unfortunately, is the power. Because again, I thought this was actually the inline 4, the 2-liter inline 4 initially, but after I did research and the owner told me that it was the base model, I found out that it was the inline 3-cylinder, and it's not that much of a difference with power, but I think that something that is so light would have a little bit more kick to it. But here, all right, so green light. Oh, I spun a little in second. All right, so yeah, I'm in third now. I have to get on the brakes because someone's in front of me. But yeah, I think it got up to like 40 to 50, a little downshift. But yeah, it's not super impressive. I'm sure you guys can see that it throws me back in the seat a little bit, but not a lot. Now this road coming up here, we have a lot of corners, which is where this car really does perform well in. Yeah, you can just accelerate into a lot of corners in this thing. Unfortunately, there is someone in front of me, so I'll slow down a lot. No one's behind me. Oh, that is one thing that I didn't want to mention. When the top is up in this car, the visibility is not that good at all. It's not the worst, but yeah, it's definitely not bad. But again, you just put the top down and you have all the visibility in the world. Now I have a little bit of room. Yeah, you can really hear the turbo, which is turbo noises are always a good thing. So right now I am going slow because I am actually going back up this curvy road that I just went down, and I'm trying to give space in front of me. All right, now I'm gonna take some of these corners. Yeah, second gear. Yeah, you can just stay in second gear the entire time up. Turn around 40. Brakes really well. Yeah, it handles the corners great. But now we're in a straightaway, and now it's just like, I might as well let off of it because it's not gonna impress you a lot in a straightaway. But as far as handling is concerned, like this car is great. Now that being said too, again, sometimes we all like to have more power, but sometimes it's just not about that. And being in like a compact car with the top down in Southern California, driving right next to the coast of the Pacific coast, it's such a cool feeling. I mean, this car is definitely really fun car. It's definitely also a pretty cool cruiser as well. I wouldn't call it a cruiser, because when I think of a cruiser, I think of like a larger like boat, like an old school like kind of American muscle boat. But yeah. So one thing I did want to mention is that when you are in sport mode, you do get a little bit of burbles and pops from the exhaust, which is pretty cool. And again, you get all that, you know, turbo noise because it's opened up, I guess, a little bit more. Now, one thing that is true about this car, which is true about, you know, most front wheel drive vehicles, is that when you are taking the corners in it and trying to accelerate, it is a little bit understeery. But again, my own personal preference, I love rear wheel drive cars. My car is a rear wheel drive car, but honestly, you seem a little bit safer when you're kind of pushing it in the corners, being a little bit understeery rather than kind of having the ass end kick out on you, which is what a rear wheel drive car would do. All right, so now I'm coming to the end of my drive, but there is a little straightaway here. Well, not straightaway, but yeah, revving it all the way up. It does. Yeah, there's not a lot of torque at all with it, but it does like to rev high, which is, again, a common characteristic with, you know, lower displacement or lower cylinder engines. Yeah, it kind of it snaps you in second more than it does in first, which is pretty interesting. I guess maybe it's just it has all the boost in second, who knows. But yeah, that's pretty much just gonna wrap it. That's gonna wrap it up for today. I hope you guys, you know, enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you stuck to the end of this video, definitely be sure to leave a like. It helps me out a lot. But yeah, if you like this format, definitely be sure and you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe. But yeah, until the next one, see you guys.